Hey, everybody. Welcome back again to Austin Sports Weekend. We are back here today to talk about some
College
college
football.
football.
Well, at the halfway point.
Yeah, thanks again for SevereTV.com for setting us up here in the studio. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for sponsoring us, setting us up with some cool helmets here. But let's go ahead and jump into some college football. We are already into week 7. We just finished week 6. We are in the middle of it, and we are loving some football. But before we get into week 7, let's do a quick recap over the games of week 6. We had some fantastic games. For all of y'all who hadn't watched before, we cover the top 15 ranked teams. Plus, we talk about Tennessee a little bit. Tennessee's got a bye this week, so we don't have to worry about talking about Tennessee this week until we get to the predictions. But we had some really good games this week. We did not have any top 15 ranked games on Thursday or Friday, but
Straight to Saturday then.
straight to Saturday. We had the Red River rivalry.
It lived up to the billing.
Yeah, man, that was a fantastic game. With number 12 Oklahoma, number 3 Texas.
Oklahoma pulled it out this year.
Oklahoma pulled it out. Nobody really gave them that much of a chance.
Oklahoma's defense did stand out. Yeah, you can say they gave up 30 points, and you might say that's not very impressive, but
And
they
the
did,
Big 12, that's impressive. Only
they
giving up 30 points.
They forced 3 Texas turnovers and forced a goal line stand on 4th down and from goal from the 1-yard line. They stopped them. So that's technically 4.
Yeah, and Texas's quarterback hasn't been bad. He's been really good. I mean,
He struggled against Oklahoma's defense.
He had been rising the charts until this weekend, and
Brent
Venables' defense
took over
of
that
course,
game.
he was the defensive coordinator for
Clemson.
So Clemson during their national championship runs was
Brent Venables
Brent
was
Venables
the defensive
was
man.
the defensive coordinator, and that is the head coach of Oklahoma. People were putting him out the pasture after last year. Of course, he came in and the cupboards were empty. Everybody
He's tried
left.
to fill them this year, and
So-
now 6-0.
6-0 and took out number 3 Texas. And again, that was just a fantastic game to watch too. It was bam, 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 bam. Beautiful game.
How about that last drive to win the game, though? Clutch, as good
Clutch.
as it gets.
It was as good as you get because it was technically a last minute drive. It was right
With
down there
12
to the
minutes
end.
or 4 minutes left, or 4 seconds left, bang, touchdown, right
Bang,
down
bang,
their
bang.
gut.
Yep, and ended it. Jumping on over to the next one, we had Maryland, who was undefeated.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Went to number 4, Ohio State. Ohio State won by 20.
Had a
Again,
struggle bus at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, Ohio State's talent overwhelmed.
Again, there's a lot of college teams that would normally score 40, 50, 60 points that is only scoring 30 points this year. So, like Ohio State's offense, Michigan's offense, Alabama's offense.
Although Michigan's
Georgia's
got it a little
offense.
bit better.
Yeah. Some of them are starting to get a little bit better, but we're not getting the big, huge, powerful offenses that we were last year, But winning by 20 points is not a bad thing. We had number 13, Washington State will not be number 13 any longer.
Because old Chip Kelly got the nice flavor today.
Yep,
UCLA beats them 25-17.
25-17. So a nice little 8-point upset. The Cougars, again, they've been rising slowly, so I don't know if they were really that good to be ranked 13. But UCLA did what UCLA needed to do. Now UCLA's 4-1, and Washington State's 4-1. So, do you think UCLA should be ranked? Probably. Maybe.
I believe so.
We had Virginia Tech, which is really, really bad this year. Florida State, which is really, really good this year. 39-17.
And Florida State looking up to par like a top team in the country.
Yeah, they are ranked number 5 in the country, and they took care of them pretty easy. There wasn't a whole lot of games that we thought would be in question this week when it comes to the top teams. We had now this is one that I thought might have a little bit of struggle. Number 11 Alabama at Texas A&M. They have lost to Texas A&M in the past.
Yeah, and they've struggled with them in the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Now they didn't blow Texas A&M out
But they decided to just let Jalen Milroe beat him with his arm, and
He beat him with his arm. Yeah, they stopped Alabama. They played a lot of heavy fronts, which kept them from running.
so
And,
they just threw rockets down the field, and it connected with the receivers.
you kicked it out, and they won 26-20. So congrats to Alabama. We had Syracuse at number 14, North Carolina.
This was a slaughter.
Nobody's talking about North Carolina much right now.
They're under the radar, and they really need to be looked at more. North Carolina.
Yeah, they're. I mean, when you put up 40 points, again, Syracuse is not a good team, but
40-7 is good.
40-7 is a pretty good game. So again, we need to put a little bit more eye on North Carolina and watch them a little bit better. This was the game that some people had as a possible upset.
No chance. From
Number-
the first quarter on, there was no chance.
Number 20
Georgia and
Kentucky. Number 20 Kentucky.
There was no chance.
It was at Georgia, and Georgia put up 51 points.
It was merciless.
And that was one of the biggest beatdowns I've seen in a while.
I feel like that was their most complete game they've had since the end of last year.
I think that is the most complete game they've had in a long time. Yeah, I think they'd heard the chirping all week about Kentucky may upset them. Kentucky.
And then they really handed it to them.
I really wonder that how many games have they won in a row now? Is it
22 or 23? It's
Yeah.
been a lot.
If you win, how hard is it to get up to play a team? Do you barely beat the teams, by 8 points, 13
Do
points,
you do
11
it just for the
points?
sake of the win streak?
And then whenever you get a little challenge, does it take people talking about you getting upset for you to get up for a game? Because they were up for this game, and they really haven't been up for a game the entire year yet.
And
So,
this was if
Do
they
you
play
think
like
they can
this,
just turn it on when they want to? Is that
is
what
it
we're
like an on
seeing?
and off switch? I
'Cause
really would like to see if Georgia has to play like this to really open my eyes a little more. I mean, the past few games they've played inconsistent football. They haven't really played full 4 quarters.
No.
But this was a full quarter beatdown.
Yeah. I just wonder if they are struggling or if they just turn it on and off
Whenever they want.
Whenever they need to. We had number 2 Michigan at Minnesota, and Michigan scored 52. That's the most they have scored in quite some time.
And that was a walloping.
That's a
Minnesota
walloping,
just had
too.
no chance.
And number 1 won 51-13. Number 2 won 52-10. So we had 2 50-point games, but number 1 and number 2.
Well done.
Well done. We had number 10 Notre Dame.
Lay an egg against Louisville.
They really laid an egg. Offensively, I didn't expect them to struggle like they did.
But they really struggled in Louisville.
Louisville, again, I think maybe we had underestimated Louisville.
And Louisville was up for the challenge.
And what's their rate? How many? What's their games now? They're 5.
They are like 5-0.
I think they are 5-0 now.
They're 6-0.
6-0 after the Notre Dame game. That's what I was thinking. They were 5 before.
This was at
6-0.
Louisville, so it was. I thought it was going to be a trap game. It was a trap.
Yeah, but still though, I didn't expect
They
them.
got caught in the wrong coop.
33-20.
That was it was a beating in the fourth quarter. It was like
Yeah,
Notre Dame. I was questioning if Notre Dame showed up to play.
it
That's
was.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe Notre Dame has a brutal schedule this year. I will give that to them. They did not schedule cream puffs this year.
And all their losses were to ranked current teams.
They are. Yeah, they've got losses, but they're all to ranked teams and unbeaten teams.
Yep, that's just that is something to quite Louisville.
Yeah.
Bravo to the Cardinals.
Bravo to the Cardinals. I'm curious to see how far they go now. We had number 15 Oregon State at Cal. Struggled more than I thought they would.
Yeah, this was a shootout.
52-40. This
Not
looked
much
like
defense
a big,
played.
This looks like a Big 12 game.
Out west.
Yeah, Big 12 out west. Is the Pac-12 moving to the Big 12 now?
Gosh.
But Oregon State did what they needed to, and again this was again not a surprise. I'm I'm expecting USC to lose soon. I don't know.
They gotta do, because that defense is atrocious
Arizona 41, USC 43. It took 3 overtimes
to defeat Arizona.
to defeat Arizona, and
If you struggle
Arizona.
with 3 overtimes to Arizona, you're not gonna get through Oregon and Washington.
No,
Without a loss.
Arizona had 2 losses before they went into this game, so they were not a fantastic team. They were 3-2 going into this game. So, and it took triple overtime.
I feel like their
USC's ranked number 9 in the country, but I really,
Doubt their team performance.
I think their team as an overall will cost them the playoffs this year. I don't think they make it to the playoffs. I think somebody else beats them, takes them out, whether it's Washington or Oregon or whatever. I think they struggle a little bit to get to the playoffs this year. That is our recap of Week 6.
But we have one little thing to add.
We do have to have an honorable mention for Stinker of the Week,
Maybe stinker of the year.
and that is the head coach.
Of the Miami Hurricanes, Mario Cristobal.
Give us a little laydown.
Okay, you got 39 seconds left. Your opponent, Georgia Tech, has 0 timeouts. They can't stop the clock.
Yeah.
And for some unknown reason, for some inexplicable reason, he decides to run the ball up the gut, and the running back coughs it up. He fumbles the ball. Georgia Tech recovers, and in 3 plays and 74 yards, with only 1 second left on the clock, they give up a touchdown to lose,
Yeah, so all they had to do was knee the ball,
and they win.
and they win. Knee the ball, or run around a little bit, knee the ball again, game over.
That is
So-
one of the most. If you saw that, that was one of the most egregiously bad decisions
Yeah.
I have seen in quite some time.
So you had the game won, circle up in victory formation, knee the ball a couple times, run around a little bit if you have to,
One of the announcers were saying, "What the crap were they doing?"
and lost the game. Again, now I think their defense was so shocked that this happened, they gave up a touchdown in 3 plays.
One of the players were on the sideline. Some of the players were saying, what were we doing?"
Yeah.
And do you know what that adds to this embarrassing loss?
Yeah.
Mario Cristobal at the press conference blamed the running back for fumbling.
Yeah. You pointed out something that shocked me, though. This is not the first time he did that.
That's why is he the head coach?
He did the same thing as a head coach of.
Oregon.
He pulled the same thing once before, lost a fumble, and lost the game. So
It's like you
Our
blame the running back.
our
instead
dumpster
of your bad
fire,
decision.
of the week is
Cristobal. He
Mario
ain't Super
Cristobal.
Mario.
No, he's not Super Mario. He went down.
That was terrible.
That was terrible. All right, let's jump into our Week 7. Again, we will talk about a little Tennessee real quick here. They're ranked They are up to number 19. They are at home. This is the CBS game of the week, 3:30 p.m. in Tennessee. SEC Nation is going to be there, so on and so forth. Tennessee's favored by 3.5. I think this is a really evenly matched game. I think Texas A&M's defense has a lot of sacks. Tennessee's defense has a lot of sacks.
Which offensive line holds up better?
Which offensive line holds up better, and which defensive line gets the most sacks? The line's 3.5. I'm going to take Tennessee minus 3.5. I actually think they win this by 6 to 7 points probably. But we are just hoping, praying that we can come out of a win with it. This is big for Tennessee. Tennessee needs this win. They need this win badly because they are going into a really tough schedule. Right after A&M, they got
Alabama on the road.
Alabama, and then they got a easier game stuck in there in the middle. But then they got Kentucky
And then they got home against Georgia.
and Georgia, and then they still got Missouri. So they've got some tough games coming up. But I do have faith that Tennessee will pull this out. I think by 6-7 points. Now let's jump into the top 15. There's not going to be a lot of shocking surprises this week, unless there is something just undescribable happens. Because there's a lot of games like this first one. Georgia at Vandy, favored by 31.5.
I want to pick that because Georgia has way out talented Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt's coming off a loss against Florida where they gave up 38.
Didn't Vandy start out 2-0? And now
Like-
they're 0-5.
in
The last 5.
Jeez.
So yeah, Vandy's struggling a little bit. And we got the same thing. We got a 2-3 Indiana
That struggled against Akron.
at Michigan. This line's 33.5.
Pick that.
Michigan seems to be firing on all cylinders right now. They won by 40. Was it 42? They won by 42 last week, so 33 is not a far reach. We got Ohio State at the struggling Purdue.
And
Purdue
I
is
picked
2-4.
Ohio State to pick over that line.
Yeah, the line's 19.5, I think, Ohio State. Again, Ohio State's been struggling on offense. They haven't been able to find that big stride yet, but Purdue is bad. If they're going to find a stride, it's probably going to be
It's
this
gonna be
week.
this one.
Syracuse at Florida State.
Florida State should win this game by double digits because they have more talent
Yeah.
and they got better coaching.
Syracuse is 4-2, but they lost to 30 to North Carolina last week. If they can lose to 30 to North Carolina, they can lose by 17.5 to Florida State. I got Florida State too. We got Arkansas at Alabama.
I pick Alabama to win, but not by that margin.
The line is 20. I don't think Alabama wins by 20 either. I don't think Arkansas wins this by any means whatsoever. But I think this is more of a 13 to 17 point game more than it is a 20-point game.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
Yeah. Jumping on down in these big barn burner games, we got Massachusetts 1-6 at 5-0 Penn State.
Happy Valley is going to eat Massachusetts alive.
Yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of struggle games this week. That line's 42.5. I'm afraid of anything over 40, but I'm not going to take Massachusetts
There ain't no way unless you're crazy.
unless you're crazy, because they are 1-6 for a reason. Now this is our game of the week. This is going to be fantastic.
Oregon against
be-
Washington, baby.
Oregon at Washington, 5-0 versus 5-0.
That is crazy. This is going to be the best game of the week.
I
I'm
think
going to really enjoy watching this one. I've
this
got a
is-
good feeling about
Yeah,
it.
this is going to be a fantastic game.
Bo Nix versus Michael Penix. Two
Washington,
of the best quarterbacks in the
Washington
conference.
is at home and they're favored by 3. So this is basically what they're saying is a pick 'em. On a neutral side, this would be a pick 'em game. In Oregon would be favored by 3. So this is
I'm gonna
Washington.
I'm going to pick the Ducks.
I'm going to pick Oregon too. I've had a feeling against Oregon all year that they probably should be a top 5 team.
I believe on this Saturday, they prove that.
I think they proved that also. Jumping on down, we got Louisville. Unranked Louisville is now who?
Well, they're 25 when they played Notre Dame, but
Yeah,
they shot up
basically
11
unranked.
spots.
From 25 to
Flying
14.
high at number 14 against Pitt.
Pitt is terrible. They are 1-4. Louisville's only favored by 7.5. I gotta take that.
Yeah.
We got USC, who has dropped to number 10 now, at
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. This game is a tremendous, huge game for both teams. Both teams have to have this win.
Yes.
If USC loses this, then they go from struggling against Arizona to losing against Notre Dame, who's coming off of a loss.
And at Notre Dame. So I don't think Notre Dame fans are going to treat the team like. I feel like I got Notre Dame in this one.
I got Notre Dame is favored by 2.5. I think Notre Dame wins it too.
I feel like they win it outright because that defense for USC gives me so much anxiety.
Yeah. And Notre Dame, coming off of a loss at home, should have a little bit of momentum.
Yep.
We got number 25 Miami at North Carolina.
Coming off that blunder, I don't know how anyone could trust Mario Cristobal.
Plus, well, North Carolina won by 30 last week too against a one-loss team.
I'm gonna pick the Tar Heels.
I'm gonna go North Carolina minus 3.5 too. One last game, our last game of the week, we have UCLA at Oregon State. UCLA went from unranked
to in the top 18.
They are number 18. And Oregon State, they only dropped a small bit to 15, so we have an 18-15 rank up. This should be a really good game, too. Oregon State's favored by 4. I'll probably take
I'll pick the
Oregon's.
Beavers.
I'll pick the Beavers, too. UCLA is just now coming into the rankings. Oregon State's been there for a while, so I'm going to take Oregon State there, too. And that's it. That is college football for Week 6 and our picks for Week 7. We are really getting into the point now to where the teams going for the playoffs should be shining really, really, really,
Yes.
really, really, really soon. So we hope you had a little fun with us talking about some college football. Thanks again for SevereTV.com for setting us up here in the studio. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for setting us up with some cool helmets. Again, they got 2 locations, one in Sevierville, one in Pigeon Forge, so be sure and check them out. Other than that, we'll see you next week for some more college football.
See you next week.